Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. Today we're going to talk about what high school athletes probably should be focusing on for long-term development and what they probably don't really need to be focusing on. But before we get into it, just please hit that like and subscribe button for me. Thank you. So I think two of the most important variables for long-term athletic development or long-term muscle development come from adherence and consistency. And I think they both just kind of coincide together. So when designing training programs for high school athletes or even youth or college athletes, it really doesn't matter. You want to keep those two things in mind. And what factors are going to lead to adherence and consistency most effectively? And what should lead to adherence and consistency of training is exposure to variation. Exposure to a variety of movements, exposure to a variety of loads, exposure to a variety of skills, exposure to a variety of environments, and encouragement to try different strategies. And there's three things that they probably don't need: answers, a rigid program, and complexity. Complex game plans, complex training programs, complex anything. As coaches, whether strength and conditioning coaches or sport coaches, it's important for us to be able to show that we know what we're talking about. And so we create these rigid programs, these complex programs and systems to prove that we know what we're talking about. And that these programs or systems or techniques need to be followed to a T for us to get the biggest bang for our buck or have the most effective outcomes. And if we're encouraging athletes to follow these programs the way that they're written out perfectly, we may be limiting both physical and intellectual potential. As much as it could be a shot at our ego as a coach, sometimes we just need to step back, let athletes be athletes, and develop for themselves. If I'm teaching a kid how to do something in the weight room and it doesn't look right after the first couple of reps, I don't necessarily need to go in and make all these cues and changes to their body position, to their knee angle, all of these different things that we like to cue athletes on. Usually all that kid needs is more exposure and practice to the movement, and they're going to develop a strategy that brings them a successful outcome. And if the athlete reaches a successful outcome, but they do it in a way that you wouldn't necessarily approve or teach, does it really matter that much? Sports, especially competitive sports, are just so dynamic and ever changing by the millisecond that it's impossible to think about all of these techniques that were supposedly taught by our coaches, that it's impossible to do. Training is supposed to lead to an adaptation, but the most important adaptation that we want is an adaptation to play successfully in our sport. Therefore, an exposure to a variety of movements, loading strategies, skills, different environments, and encouragement to try different strategies is going to be what's needed for a lot of these high school athletes to continue training and develop long term. I think Christian Thibodeau said it best when he said, "Rigidity is an enemy of creativity." Programs like Triphasic or 5-3-1 are awesome, but if a kid can't adhere to it and be consistent with its training for whatever reason, how effective is it really? Anyways, those are my thoughts for the day. I hope that information is helpful for anyone who's working with high school athletes or even college or youth athletes. And if you have a differing opinion than me, please leave a comment or shoot me an email. But thanks for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button for me. It helps me a ton. So thanks, guys, and have a great day.